Kevin, I feel like we have to talk about the scratching on this album.
Yeah.
The credits for this album do list a DJ KO as someone who contributed to this album. And apparently there's one Reddit thread out there that claims that, this was a friend of Isaac. They just brought him into the studio. He was also maybe on K Records. And so they kind of had some connection. But this goes back to me to this larger question of how much is this an album of its time and of particular influences? Because I hear that scratching and it feels totally otherworldly and kind of like emblematic of the genius of this band. But then there's also part of me, it's like, oh God, like 1997, scratching on a rock out. Like, are these guys listening to rap rock? Like, is that just
Limp Bizkit,
what's happening here?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I think in the arena of Modest Mouse, it somehow works. It somehow totally works. But if you do zero in on it, and I've had moments like that too, you're like, this is Limp Bizkit. But I think that's what I like about Isaac is I'm like, well, maybe he's not so different than those guys. And I think that's maybe what separates him in this sort of indie rock canon is that, I don't know, maybe he's not, he doesn't feel the need to be pretentious or cooler than someone like Fred Durst might have been in the early days of Limp Bizkit or something, as funny as that sounds. But I don't think that's what he was going for. Obviously, I don't think he was trying to be Limp Bizkit, but I think it somehow works. It somehow works on the record. Even in the early days of me listening to this album, I just remember thinking it sounded cool rather than sounding cringy or something. But there are times in recent history where I've listened to it, I'm like, that is someone scratchy. That's pretty funny.